Hi everyone, today I'm back with another video, and this one's going to be kind of special. This one shows my impressions of the Aurisonic rockets. And if you don't know about the rockets, they were actually crowdfunded in your earphone via Kickstarter. So this is a pretty cool opportunity to get a chance to listen to these, since backers have basically just received them. So I had kept in touch with one of the head fires, and he's generously allowed me to be a participant in the tour with the Aurisonic rockets. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So right off the bat, I'll start off with the case. This is a nice kind of leathery case. Has the rockets logo on there. As you can see, they had a cute little rocket ship there. Pretty nice pouch. On the back here, we have a zippered pouch for storing extra ear tips or accessories. Pretty nice to have handy. And then at the top we have where the main compartment is, and this is also where a carabiner clip is stored. Put it on your backpack. Unraveling the rockets, we'll start off at the end here. So right here is a 45-degree angled plug. As you can see, it's kind of a large plug, so if you have a case on your smartphone or MP3 player, this might not fit. So just to keep that in mind. Also, if you'll be able to see here, the plug is actually a bit scuffed up and a bit dirty. So this is a white color, and it is a plastic material, so it will pick up dirt and scratches pretty easily, which is a little bit unfortunate. Moving on to the cable. This is a tri-weave Kevlar material, so it's should be a pretty sturdy cable that should last a few years. Unfortunately, this is also plastic coated, and because of that, it picks up a lot of cable noise and microphonics, which can interfere with your music. So that is another one of the bad things I don't like about the rockets. But the appearance is pretty cool. It's got a red cable for the right ear and a blue cable for the left ear, and this is kind of a theme of red, white, and blue, as you can probably tell. Aurisonic is actually trying to make all of their products in the United States, so they're taking great pride in making this made in America. So right here at the Y split, we can actually see the Aurisonic logo there, the AS, and again, this is the same kind of white plastic material and picks up dirt pretty easily. Moving up here, we have a chin adjustment strap, which is nice to have since it can reduce the cable microphonic noise that reach your ears. And then up here we have the ear tips where the rockets themselves are. So as you can probably tell by the shape, it's generally shaped like a rocket ship. It's one of the more unique looking in-ear earphones that I've ever seen before, and I actually like the appearance. It stands out from the rest of the crowd there. So here we have the rocket fins, and these are actually adjustable, so you can push these in if you have a short ear canal and you put them in like that. It has a snug fit. Or if you're like me and you have a pretty large ear canal, you might want to pull this out a bit, and so you can stick it into your ear a lot better. And then you can actually remove these, and as you can see here, there is absolutely no strain relief there, so that's kind of another problematic point for me for the rockets. So when you insert these in your ear, they just kind of hang there like that. There's no nice strain relief here, so I'd be a little bit worried about that. But these ear tips, they're a little bit unusual to me. They're almost a sticky material. If you can listen to that, they're pretty sticky. But when I put these in my ear, sometimes when I try to pull them out, the ear tip actually sticks in my ear, and I have to manually remove the tip, which is kind of an annoyance. I mainly use these tips, which are the large ones. I found that they have the best seal and the best fit for me, but your ears are different than mine, so maybe you'll prefer a medium or small. But anyway, moving on to kind of the sound quality. So before I jump into that, I just want to mention that these are dynamic driver in your earphones. They are not balanced armature. So that basically means that there's a nice correlation between the frequency response and the impedance. If you introduce balanced armatures into in your earphone, you get kind of this weird fluctuation in the impedance curve, and sometimes portable media players don't fare very well when trying to drive those. So these are dynamic drivers, so they are nice to have with your portable media players. Something that I should also mention is that these are fairly inefficient for an in-ear earphone. Aurisonic rated these at 105 decibel sound pressure level at 1 milliwatt of power. Usually for in-ear earphones we see around 110, 115, 120 decibel SPL per 1 milliwatt of power. So that means that when you plug these into your media player, you'll probably need to turn up the volume a little bit. It's not too problematic, but just something to keep in mind for future reference. Alright, so let's move on to the sound. In general, I actually really enjoyed these. I thought they are one of the better sounding earphones that I've encountered in the $250 range. So that's a very nice compliment for the Rockets. Let's start off with the bass. These do have kind of a bass roll-off. They aren't kind of the kind of sound that you would experience from a normal in-ear earphone, from my experience. If you listen to Daft Punk's Voyager song, which is one of my test tracks for sub bass, it kind of lacks the deep oomph and punch that you would normally get from an in-ear earphone. However, once you move up to the mid bass and the upper bass, you do get a nice twang with the bass guitars, so they do have some of that punchy bass, not the deep impactful bass, but a nice punchy bass. And then transitioning into the mid-range, the transition is pretty smooth. The mid-range as a whole has some warmth in it, nice and organic sounding. I think the timbre of the Rockets is one of the strong points for me, is that these make instruments sound very natural to me. The mid-range as a whole is not too forward, but it is a little bit forward, so you get kind of a focus on the mid-range. So these are a nice mid-range monitor, so to speak. And then moving on to the upper mid-range, which is where I kind of have a little bit of trouble with the sound here. The transition between the upper mid-range and the lower treble, at around 6 kilohertz, there's kind of a treble area. I think there's either distortion or there's a peak there. But I use a -3 decibel equalizer there to kind of get rid of the harsh sound that I hear without the EQ. So that's one of the trouble spots of the Rockets for me. Other than that, if you don't EQ them, they sound a little bit bright to me, and things like upper guitar notes and violins and some female vocals, some initial cymbal hits or drum hits of the snare, they kind of sound a little aggressive to me without the EQ, so I kind of toned that down a bit so it makes it a little more pleasurable to listen to. Other than that, moving on to the treble range. The treble is pretty nice in general. It's got a little bit of treble grain, so if you listen to music, you might notice some extra kind of an extra layer of details and just kind of a grittiness that you normally shouldn't hear in your music. It's not too big of a problem because the overall response of the treble is fairly smooth. There's no really annoying peaks to me, so that's really good in terms of just listening to your music and enjoying it without having to worry about treble peaks. If you're sensitive to treble like me, these might be a good earphone for you. And speaking of the treble, let's move on to the soundstage. So the soundstage for in-ear earphones is a little bit of an abstract concept to understand. When you're listening to music normally, your ear has the depression, basically where your ear canal starts, and that area is called the concha. And your ear and your brain use the sounds around you with the concha, and they kind of allow you to be able to localize sounds. Now, since in-ear earphones don't utilize the concha, describing a soundstage is a little bit weird. One of the moderators at HeadFi, Kura Wang, actually mentioned that sometimes in-ear earphone designers will tune the upper frequencies or the treble to kind of give you the illusion that you're hearing some sounds that you would hear from the concha, so you're getting the illusion that there is a soundstage. I think the Rockets have a good tuning in that regard, with the treble without being spiky. The soundstage on these is actually pretty spacious from my experience, which is really cool. I usually don't listen to in-ear earphones, but when I do, I always note that the soundstage is pretty small and congested. These don't completely sound like they're transparent, like I'm listening to sounds from the natural world, but I think these do a pretty good job at rendering the soundstage, and I'm actually surprised that these were able to do a fairly good job at that, because they're in-ear earphones, and I kind of had a bias against that. But anyway, enough about my ramblings about that. I think the soundstage is really good. I've used these for gaming, Team Fortress 2 and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and these do a fairly good job at detail retrieval and imaging, so where instruments are placed around my head in the soundstage. I would say full-size headphones do a little bit better job at that, but for earphones and their small form factor and their convenience, I think this is a nice alternative. So that's all I want to cover in terms of the sound. As a whole, I actually really enjoyed these. If I had the money, these are $250 retail price, I think I would actually consider buying one. They're one of the nicer in-ear earphones that I've tried. The timbre as a whole is really good, and I value that a lot in in-ear earphones, because oftentimes in-ear earphones will get the timbre kind of off. There'll be a spike in the treble or too much bass, or the mid-range is laid back, or something really off with them, and I generally don't listen to in-ear earphones because of that. But these are actually very nice, and I would definitely recommend giving these a try if you could. Other than that, I think I covered all that I wanted to. Again, these are the Aurisonic Rockets. They were crowdfunded via Kickstarter, and they have been recently released to the backers, so they should be coming out to regular consumers hopefully in the near future. Alright, that is all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for watching, and if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys soon.